Welcome everyone to episode 67 of Video Game Book Club. I'm Tubby Mora, and today I'm joined by Soul Charizard, Genji, Bajirwin, Nakuso, and Force. Say hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Boy.
Baby.
This time around, we're going to be talking about Persona 3 Reload. This game was nominated by Tubby Mora, and it was selected on the Wheel of Mystery with a 50 out of 240 chance or 21% chance of winning. Persona 3 Reload was developed by P Studio, published by Sega and Atlas, and was originally released on February 2nd, 2024 for PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. On Persona 3 Reload's official website, it reads, quote, "Step into the shoes of a transfer student, thrust into an unexpected fate when entering the hour hidden between one day and the next. Awaken an incredible power and chase the mysteries of the dark hour. Fight for your friends and leave a mark on their memories forever." Persona 3 Reload is a captivating reimagining of the genre-defining RPG reborn for the modern era. But that's how the website describes the game. How would everyone here describe the game? And the order of presenting will be Soul Charizard, Tubby Mora, Force, Bajirwin, Nakuso, and Genji. And please be advised, there may be spoilers ahead. And with that said, let's get started. Question 1. Describe the game in one sentence. Take it away, Soul.
Point evoker at head, summon persona. May or may not cause migraines tomorrow morning for the first time users while exploring the dark hours and Tartarus. Next.
High schoolers disturb the peace by shooting themselves in the head to summon their personal demons to fight the depression of mankind while sipping on that baby lotus juice music.
Oh my god.
What about you, Force?
Instead of disturbing the peace, it disturbed my tear ducts. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I had myself muted. I was so confused. Okay. Persona 3 Reload is the video game embodiment of the slice of life genre, spliced with darkness, darker than in Kingdom Hearts, and a genuinely well-earned power of friendship kind of turn-based JRPG that will always leave you full, yet a little empty inside. You'll be crying like a baby, after all the trauma is done.
Oh my god. It's beautiful.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to be hearing that for a while.
Oh yeah.
Never let it die.
Persona 3 is similar to collecting every Exodia piece. You form your harem, take on the road with friends, and then lose it all in a blinding flash. I just spoiled Yu-Gi-Oh! And Persona 3.
Wait, hold up.
Hold on.
Well, we did say spoilers may be involved, so.
I didn't know that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was going to be spoiled today, though. It's not on the agenda.
You may or may not be having Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans coming after your
not
house
for
at
me.
this night.
Not my problem.
I didn't say anything. I was very vague.
That is true.
You put it all together. Anyway, I'm done. On to
Lucky
you,
Exodia
Genji.
pieces.
Cool. Persona 3 Reload is a remake of a classic fan-loved JRPG with the only appropriate choice throughout the game is to build that relationship with Mitsuru. However, does the game actually faithfully remake or build upon the original, or do the developers just treat their fans like a bunch of babies? Next.
Babies. And then this is from Jake. Jake H, who couldn't make it here today. He described the game as a lesson of overcoming the odds with the most important people around, especially in the face of certain death. Dang. That's the most legit answer.
Dang.
All right.
I like his answer more than mine.
Now your answer is solid too. Question 2.
No, I like yours.
What platform did you play the game on? What difficulty did you play on? And how many hours did it take you to finish the game? Take it away, Soul.
I played on the PS4, easy difficulty, and then through normal, because I thought it was gonna beat me in the butt, like in my first playthrough when I borrowed Tubby's Persona 3 Face on the PS2.
Mm-hmm.
And then it took me about a month and a half or 2, approximately. Can't remember, because it's like being in the dark hour. Like time feels just so irrelevant when I just go in there.
All right.
When I go to Tartarus, it's kind of mumbo jumbo. So yeah.
How many game hours was that? Did you have saved roughly? I'm just curious.
100 something.
Nice.
All right, 3-digit club.
Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, I think you're around there.
Okay,
Again.
okay.
Dark Hours just feels weird. Next.
All right, for me, I played on Steam on hard mode, 91 hours and 27 minutes. I played with controller, and yeah, that's mine. What about
Which
you?
controller?
Which controller? Oh,
which
thank you for
controller?
asking,
Yeah.
Naku. So it's the red Xbox Series X Crimson Red Pulse Red controller.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Wow.
nice.
Mhm.
Very fitting.
Yep. All my finger dirt is in there. 3 months worth. Persona 3 Reload. Amen. What about you, Force?
I guess I was the only one that did it in double digits. I had normal 97 hours. I played on Xbox Pass, and I did it in like a month. I think I could finish this game in 2 weeks was a bit too insane.
What a god.
No, I
my
couldn't
God.
do that. I'm not getting Genji or whatever. I thought I finished games fast. This guy finished even before I did. I was like, whoa. He's a regular Xbox controller.
Okay. Freaking Genji.
Next.
So I played on my beautiful PC thing, but I used the Xbox Game Pass PC thingamajig, with my rematch advanced wired controller for Xbox by PDP. I bought at a Walmart
Nice.
when
That's
I broke
beautiful.
my controller for a different video game book club game. Difficulty hard. I thought Merciless would actually suck, so I did hard instead, and it took me about 140-ish hours because I was going a little too hard. Like, I actually finished the game this morning at 7 a.m.
Nice.
because I just wanted more. I wanted everything. I wanted everyone to be my friend. So yeah, I mean, 140-ish. Yeah. Plus sleeping time, so I'll make 136. Because I fell asleep a few times playing.
Fair enough.
Whoops. But yeah, I'd like to shift over next.
Okay, so it took me 119 hours to finish Persona 3 Reload, and that's getting to like 95% of trophies. Only a few I didn't get, unfortunately. I played on the PS5, obviously, with the default controller this time. The God of War is taking a nap for a while until it rises again. And I played on the hard difficulty. Next.
Nice. Well, I played Persona 3 Reload on the PlayStation 5 launch edition with 2 controllers, both white. One did have stick Joy-Con drift,
Dang.
though.
You just
So
like with
I
handicap.
was not only battling everyone on hard mode, I was also battling the controller, which made me want to constantly run left. I 100%ed it in my first playthrough on hard. I completed all the social links. I brute forced to get Alice as early as possible because she is the best death persona because she has a knife, and that very much symbolically represents Persona 3 Reload. And I completed the game in about 2 weeks. I forget how many hours it took me. But on my PlayStation, it officially says that I have played 69 hours of Persona 3,
Nice.
and I will not be
There's
loading
no
that
way.
game up ever again because
There's no
I am
way.
doing it for the memes.
That's beautiful, Genji. Work of art.
So take it away, AI Jack. Or
Hi,
Jake.
I am AI Jake. I played the game on PC. That's actually all he wrote. Just PC. He didn't write any hours or anything. So we'll move on to the next question. Question 3. Describe your playstyle towards the game. Take it away, Soul.
Let's see. Oh, God. Okay. So before Reload, I borrowed Tabimura's again. As I said before, I borrowed Tabi's Persona 3 face,
Mm-hmm.
and I regret playing normal mode because it beat me the crap out of it, and I was like halfway there. But well, I'm digressing. I was using it. I was using some of the network things to like help me guide as a guide to see what needs to be done,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just powered on through my Tartarus, like trying to get to the border floors and getting my social stats and links up as far as I can. And when it comes to like climbing the stairs of Tartarus. I'm a wild card. I just go with what I can go with what I have, and I mostly focus on getting like the special personas, like the ones from the special fusions. And thank you, Sun Arcana, for giving me the level 91 Messiah, as I kept
Nice.
Orpheus and Thanatos with me. Thank heavens. And I rotate my team like what needs to be caught up, and just tinker around with things from here and there. And that's about it. Next.
All right, for me, I disturbed the peace as much as possible. I kept yelling "baby" in the game and in chat. I tried to form as many social links as I could to anyone who wanted to talk with me. I forced everyone's friendship upon myself and almost maxed out everyone, minus 2 people. Rest in peace, baby. BB.
How dare you?
I'm so sorry, Force. He's like really the only one I didn't get to max out. Did tartar sauce?
I get it.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Joking.
Just like everyone, I'm pretty sure we all did tartar sauce runs in like one day. The game encourages us to spread out all of our time, but let's face it, we all probably just ran tartar sauce in one day. I did it too, and then I actually didn't get Messiah or any of the stronger personas at the end. I just fused Thanatos, and then I just poured all my stat modifiers into him because he's a really cool persona, very iconic. And yeah, whatever weapon was powerful, I just threw it onto my character if I ran into it. But that's how I played. What about you, Force?
Okay. Well, the leader's kind of very flexible. He's a jack of all trades. Well, with the persona, so you can do whatever you want in the team, like in terms of building. But I kind of like towards the end stick with Akihiko, Mitsuru, Okoromaru. I would not debate it. He's the best. He's the GOAT. With most of them like being like support mage, like Yukari, I used a lot of the persona that's basically the Dragon Ball guy. I don't even know his name. It's like the dragon that you need to finish. Yeah, whatever you need to for Koromaru's like story, you need to have his persona so you can make him. Mostly support unit. A lot of reviving and all that stuff. I kind of did a lot of side stuff, but not a completionist. I used guides mostly for Elizabeth stuff and unlocking personas because there's no way like, what combination do I need to go find this? I didn't use Game Plus to finish with some personas. Some that I didn't even finish or didn't even try. I did it as much until like I could do my Game Pass. I did all the party members' quests. Like I said, I would rush the each floor cap, like everyone else says, and then focus on social links until it was reopened to do the exact same thing. It was just the cycle of like I played it on normal and I felt over leveled by the end. I did die because of like stupidly. I don't even know. I just died at the very end to the final boss once, and then the second time was pretty over quickly. But yeah. Next.
So I live and breathe by the grind of the JRPG. When I was in Tartarus, I stayed until I ran out of stamina, like everyone else. But I also, especially early on in the game, I would even start back from the beginning so I could get the Arcana cards. Not like all the time, like it was early, like 40 levels only, But I would do that so I can get a bunch of Arcana cards before I actually finished like exploring the newly unlocked half or whatever. So that would just be, brimming with lots of good stats and extra buffs and all that good stuff. No wall was unlicked. Everything was mine to loot, kill or eat. My inventory was well stocked, no matter how much items I actually used to keep my stamina up. Yeah, I am a loot goblin for sure. I broke everything that was breakable. Literally everything. But I also just have a hoarding behavior, so I started hoarding a lot of things thinking that I was gonna suck at the later half of the game. Like maybe I need 12,000 healing items. I didn't, but you never know, So I had over 50 soul drops or whatever. Like I just kept going. I lost what I was reading. Gosh dang it.
You
out
had
of
50 soul drops and you licked things.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Thank you for reminding me where I was at. For the party system, I, especially in TARDIS, would rotate them out until they were all bleeding dry, you know? Like, they were bled dry of all their stamina. I was that person. But when it came to, like, some of the, like, you know, important full moon fights, I did include people who may or may not have vendettas, or, like, they have something going on during that part of the story. I'm like, yeah, I gotta get Akihiko in here. I gotta get Akihiko and Amada here because they need to get their vengeance, you know? Like, sometimes I let them get priority, and just redid my entire, like, team comp based off of those things. I made sure my character had at least one persona of, like, pretty much every, like, elemental type or, like, support or attacky style. Words are super hard. Why can't I remember these things? Then again, there's in this game words like Dekunda, Dekaha, Agilao. So I mean, words are just words. I did every hangout in the dorm that was physically possible, sometimes even more than once, because they gave me stuff or would make my plants grow really well. I think I only missed like 5 social links, but because I, you know, did not manage my time like I thought I was doing. I thought I was doing so good.
But you got baby
I thought I
maxed,
had
right?
more time. Yes, I do. I got baby. I got
Nice.
a max, bro.
Well done.
Maxed. Thank you. But I at least got all the social links if they weren't maxed out at least to level 5, so they had some of my love, you know. But there's just so much going on. Like, I didn't even find Mutatsu the monk until November 1st, so obviously I have some
I had the
reorganizing of time. I have to do a little better. So that's kind of how I played. Everything was licked and touched.
Nice. Lick, touch,
Sorry.
reloaded.
Next. Exactly. Reloaded. Yep.
Okay. Wow. For me, just like Persona 5, I made sure to take my time with this game. Really getting engrossed with the characters in Gakukan High School, randoms on the streets, and others in the sheets.
Nice.
But most of
Okay.
oh yeah, everyone. I formed my harem.
Nice.
Because at
Let's
first
go.
I was like, I'm gonna be faithful. I'm just gonna go with Chihiro or Yuko. And by the end, I was like, dang, what have I done? However, the game doesn't punish me, so it's okay.
That's the spirit.
It's morally okay.
It's morally okay in this game.
In the game.
And you know what? I'm glad I did it because I got to see everyone's story. I got to touch everyone's hearts.
Whoa.
Really. And
Hold on there.
Whoa.
what? Anyway,
Nothing.
during the school nights, you know, I really took my time looking at different things on the ground, like a cat. I made sure that cat was healthy. I gave that cat medicine every day. That was my priority until that cat came back to life. And I was like, wow, hey, you actually get something from it. Most of the time, like Tubby said, yeah, I did do TARDIS in 1 or 2 settings, getting to the highest floor. Initially, like other games, I usually stick with one team. And for probably 30% or 40% of this game, I stuck with Yukari, Junpei, Mitsuru for the longest time. And about like halfway through the game, I actually started to switch out a lot more just to see what everyone did. And I'm really glad that I did because you really got to see each character, especially after spending time with them. It really adds to the whole dynamic and their character arcs. And like Bajoran did, I also use certain characters during certain character moments in the game just to feel it, that feeling of emotion, intensity. But one of the most important things in this game that I usually never do is use inventory items. I did this time around. I use them a lot, especially the status effects one.
Good job. Good job.
Specifically on the Lovers Arcana boss. That is probably like the most
Lovers are
status effects. Yep, it is. That's like the boss that really took me the longest time, and that made me actually, it was like, you know what? No, I'm going to use inventory items, and I am glad that I did.
Hooray!
Most of the wow. Speaking of final boss, I got to that boss. I pretty much stomped everyone after the Lovers Arcana. I grinded so hard for each persona.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, I had like Susano, Lucifer, Messiah, Loki. I see I have Alice, Masakato, Satan, Thanatos, Vishnu, Ho-Oh, the Pokemon,
All the
and,
gods.
and Asura. I proceeded to farm the Reaper. Every time I seen him, he was like, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like,
Oh, you
well,
killed
well,
him.
well.
Maybe I'm just bad.
Oh, yeah, I
I
killed the
still couldn't
Reaper.
beat the Reaper.
I fought him
Oh, I
once
want-
and never again.
I
Oh.
accidentally fought him. I was falling asleep in Tartarus, and he showed up and
I
attacked
did it
me,
in
and I
New Game
woke up.
Plus where like my character was stacked the kills, and then I just died anyway because all the other characters were so far
I
behind.
avoided the Reaper like a plague. I felt like I was not ready for it.
There's a clip of Tubby where his where Buns calls him and like the Reaper starts chasing his ass.
That is
Oh, yeah.
unfortunate.
That is
timing.
true. Good.
Well, I'm glad
timing.
Namaso at least did it. Get vengeance for the rest
Reaper-
of us.
I one shot at that guy with a super
you.
powerful ability.
You
And I was
shot him.
And that's how yeah, you can one shot him. You got to get a certain fusion, and then you get a ability called Armageddon. And then that does
I do know.
9,999 damage. No, it was great though. Spending time with C's members and really getting to know them in more ways than one.
Mhm.
And oh yeah, maxing out social links. You know what? I gave everyone some love. Baby. You know, I got him to level 7. It's pretty good, right?
Hey, that's
pretty good.
good.
That's
It was
pretty
really
good.
just like, I think that was like the lowest level, like 7 out of all the
That's
characters.
more
But-
than what I think.
overall,
Tubby
R.I.P.
did,
baby.
Oh, dang.
Bruh.
Most of the time, I also cheated. You know, sometimes I have to
Whoa.
cheat. That's a little bit.
It's not called cheating, so it's called exploring the other options.
What is cheating?
Oh,
What did you do?
What is cheating?
well, I looked up.
Did you
Some-
invite Elizabeth to your room after you already had a girlfriend?
Oh, who did
Oh
it?
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Dude.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
I showed her my bed.
Wow.
The Velvet Baddie.
All right. I'm done. I don't want to keep going. On to you, Genji.
All right, Genji.
Well, I feel like I sort of touched on things in my previous answer, but I 100%ed the game. I got that platinum trophy for Persona 3.
What a legend.
I'm very proud of it. I had the heart only for one character because Elizabeth is not real. She is a figment of my imagination. And the
She
only
felt
person
real.
that had my heart was Mitsuru. She is the GOAT, just like Makoto from Persona 5. Both of them are by far the best characters, and I will fight anyone who disagrees. I completed
I will.
I completed 99.99999% of the side missions. I did not complete the final one, which involved kicking Elizabeth's little ass, which no matter how many times I tried to kick, she killed me 10 times over in return. So
She
I
kicked
have
harder.
definitely given up on that one. I did try and cheese it by bumping down the difficulty, but no matter how easy I make it, she still successfully kicked my ass. I made sure I pet the cat and brought that cat back to life because cats are the greatest, as we've established. And my team consists of really the protagonists, Mitsuru, Yukari, and the only other option is the bestest boy in the entire world, Kamaru, which I've completely butchered the name of. But anyway, so
It's okay.
I played with those three because Mitsuru is goated, Yukari is a fantastic healer, and how can you argue against having a doggo on your team?
Exactly.
I kicked the Reaper's ass multiple times, and just to establish dominance, for the lols, at one point I did also switch it down to the easiest difficulty at the very end once I'd beaten everything. Because on the easiest difficulty, if you die, you can come back to life full health and proceed to continue the fight. So I wanted to show the Reaper that despite the game themes being about death and everything like that, no matter how many times he killed me, I came back to life. So I feel like I have very much spited that little asshole that is the Reaper.
Good. You show him.
Because despite the fact that he can kill me, I will just come back to life. I did spend, once I'd maxed out everyone's social links and I couldn't really do much else before the end of the game, I just kept consistently sleeping with Mitsuru until the end of the game. Because
Wait,
it's the only way to go about the end.
Yo.
So,
Best ways to
I
spend your
think
final
he-
days.
Dog. Yeah,
There,
dog.
there are certain ways to end the and despite all the other girls going, "We love you, we want to be with you," I'm like, nope, only one, Mitsuru. Just don't tell her about Elizabeth. So next,
Wait a second.
Hold
yes,
on.
take it away. Yes,
All right, this is this is from Jake. He wrote,
Oh,
playstyle towards the game. Meticulous. Since it's very schedule focused, you have to be wary of where, when, and how you spend your time. That's it. That's all he wrote. Moving on to question 4. What are 2 things you like about the game and why? And we will be alternating for this one. What's your first point, Soul?
Oh boy, I was a little iffy on the music a bit because at the I think it was like around the Polonia Mall music, I was like, do I feel right with this? Do I feel right with some? I was like, was I okay with it? But I think later on I started to adapt to it. And then I think the intense music that I kind of like was when sneak attacking the enemy, and I was like, oh, okay, you're hitting me with this. And then at the nighttime, I was like, okay, you're hitting me with so many really
Ooh,
nice
the
music.
vibes. The
I
vibes
know.
are coming. It just took some time, and the vibes were there. You just had to embrace the vibe.
It just took a while. That's why. And then and I think I like the final the final boss music battle for everyone's soul.
Classic.
That was an interesting music, and especially how the Burn My Dread was like a little bit more refined, but it doesn't have that.
Doesn't have that pop to it like the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it did have a
thanks.
really at least the lines at least Lowe's just had that like some sort of logical sound of how logical lines going on with that. So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, this is really good. I like it. All right, and next.
I'm just gonna build off of Soul's thing. I'm just gonna talk about the music too. Huge shout out,
Yay.
Shoji Meguro. He's the music composer, music genius of the Persona series. He really his career kind of skyrocketed after Persona 3, and he really honed in on what makes Persona music. So just to see it like come 180 degrees and just to see everything really honed in and everything, all the music getting remastered, it's freaking awesome. Like the remastering of the original music is great. Absolutely loved it. Some of my favorite songs, Mass Destruction, It's Going Down Now, Color Your Night, that Polonia Mall music, freaking awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a really I love that music.
Shout out to Lotus
that's
Juice.
definitely my favorite like new song in this game. Living with Determination, great as always. Battle for Everyone's Souls, Memories of You, like all of them's good. And I see where Soul's coming from because the music still went hard for the final bits, Battle for Everyone's Soul and Burn My Dread. It did kind of like lose a little bit of that magic from the original, but I still think they're really good renditions and it's a good like entryway for people who've never experienced the game. So I still think they did the songs justice. It's a little different from the original, but still pays homage to the original, which I highly respect. So the music, top notch, great stuff. And what about you, Force?
I mean, I can just go. I don't know if it's the same thing or it would be different. The characters or like the Arcana cards, especially the Sun. That's one of the most depressing things I have ever seen in a video game. Is the end of the Sun Arcana. That thing is sad. I know you know how to properly spell his name, but his is saddest. Also, I think Bebe's is really sad towards the end. I don't know if I want to like. It's just that the characters that make the game really makes you care about them and their struggles. The Hermit card is you. The Hermit, no, not the Hermit. It's the Hanged. It's just those. The game makes you deeply care for these characters, and then just sucker punch you in the stomach by making you feel depressed and sad for them, whatever goes on in their lives. The character stories, Koromaru's end of his story and that frame made me bawl my eyes out again. I think it's really great. I do have problems with the story, but that's maybe with just the genre in general. I'll get to it later. when you get to like such a you care like you just that's the whole point of like in the video game to difference in other medias is that the interactiveness is what makes video games so unique. You like with movies or a book, you can't even directly interact with that media, and that's what video games gives to the user. It gives you a deeper level of connection that you cannot get from other medias of art. And I feel like this game does a great job of doing that. Like get to actually know you gets to know you on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just great. And I'm more of a story driven kind of guy in games. That's what really gets me hooked on that sort of stuff. But yeah, the social links and the story quest is what keeps me wanting to play more than anything else. But yeah, that's what I got to say about like next.
I'm gonna build off of some of the stuff you said because you made me change my original first point because yes, gosh dang, the stories, the details, everything. Like you already have your main party, right? You already know you're gonna have to care about them, get to know them, but who said that you'd learn and accidentally care about like 10, 11 other characters as well? Like the details that they've put into main story, side stories, even the just text dialogue of random NPCs. It's like you can follow someone else's story just by showing up in the same area and like interacting with them, you know? Like the detail that Persona games have, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. It makes me want to cry inside just try to find all these things. Like you can follow along this girl who starts stalking this guy at school. And like after like halfway through the year, she's like, this guy's actually really boring. And then she stops following him, doesn't care anymore. Now he's following her back and stalking her. And it's just one of those like random NPC
NPCs.
moments that yeah, like they did not need to give me this whole like story outside of our characters. Like there's a couple that always sits on the bench in front of the cafe in the port island area or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's a shy guy and this really outgoing lady, and it's just I did not need to care about the relationship going through highs and lows. Like they don't even have names, but I was caring about these NPCs as I was going about my day-to-day life, you know? I'm like I'm saving the world for them. And I need them to go on this date to the mountains, gosh dang it. I want them to be happy. I want them to be okay. Or the old man who's like, yeah, every year we have a reunion and there's less and less of us there. It hit me, bro. There's no reason I should be crying over NPCs. I'm already crying over the main game. Like, they didn't need to go all in on these things, but someone did. Someone came up with these dialogue options for these NPCs. And that's just so extra in a great way, not like oh my gosh extra, but like gosh, okay, like also adding other ways to actually forge those bonds, like hanging out with the boys by making them all like actual like hangout events, even if they weren't social links because all the girls would end up having theirs. But like with the guys, not only did you benefit from finishing them, but you got to like get a look outside of, you know, Tartarus life, dorm life, like things going on when they're not at the dorm with you, like beating up people at a shrine. That's also pretty cool, you know? Like they did not have to create 4 extra side stories of the characters, you know? Meeting Koromaru's other homies who've known him at the shrine, like there's so much. This requires multiple playthroughs because of how much detail is in these games. Okay, I think I gushed enough about that, but yeah, the NPC stories go crazy. Shift next.
So for me, it's the fluidity and just ease of the game of playing and not having it feel like a chore. Being able to teleport around, that was nice. Teleporting to specific areas, even nicer. And really just speeding up the combat is a godsend. Just rewinding to an earlier part to replay a scene in case you messed up. Again, cheating in class, amazing. Seeing what everyone is doing during Persona at any
I didn't
time.
know that was a thing at all the first time I played that, and I just like guessed randomly. I didn't know I could do
Oh,
that.
shoot.
I did not know you could cheat at first playthrough. It took me until like Game Plus to learn that you could do that.
Dang, what a god.
Hey, respect
Yeah.
though. You played the game like truly.
Yeah,
old
Force actually
school.
studied.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to study for like the exams, but the actual day-to-day tests you could cheat on. But yeah, it was great quality of life changes, especially coming from Persona 5. I haven't played Royale, so I'm not sure, which ones they added to this one.
Oh.
But
I
one
concur
big
that
one.
there are some.
Okay, thank you for confirming that.
Sorry, only some, not
No,
all of it.
That's good. That's good. Not to mention,
Yeah.
like leveling up party members in Tartarus really encouraged me to use them more. Like one reason I usually don't play other characters and just have one team is just because it's annoying to level up other characters.
Mhm.
But this game, using a giant clock, catching up Junpei. Every,
Why did you do Junpei?
well,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
just taking a break. He's guarding the entrance.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
No, he's being
What?
whenever you need to rescue somebody, he comes up and grabs people, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
that
heroic
was
of
his.
him.
That's his job.
Yep.
But no, it actually made me switch out characters. I actually did use Junpei, Ken, Koromaru. I use him so much. He's a good boy.
He's the goat.
He's always going to be a good boy. Yeah, he is. And just like all the characters, pretty much by the end, I use most of the characters equally. The only one I used a little bit more was this Yukari because of her healing. And at some point, I became the healer. I took Yukari out. I had to get Koromaru. I had to get Ken in there. And at some points, our boy, Shinjiro, October 4th. Never forget.
Never
Never
forget.
forget.
never
What are we
forget.
forgetting?
I think
Huh?
October 5th.
Nothing. We're forgetting that it's my time is over and now it's on to Genji.
Nice.
Nice.
Smooth
well,
transition.
I'm kind of going to build off of what some of you guys have said, off of what Nakutsu said, but first I'd like to start off with by saying that if Junpei could stay dead for the entire game, that would be great. Moving on to something, moving on to the positives though, because we're talking about things we liked about the game, is that I've been trying to, in previous book clubs, talk about the accessibility stuff because I feel like that's a really important thing. And what I really like is some of the accessibility functionality there is within the game. I like that there's no trophy tied to difficulty, which means you could technically play on peaceful, which, while yes, that means if you do lose a fight and die, you can come back and resume the fight from where you were full health. It also means then that if you die in Tartarus or whatever, you can come back and all your stamina, health, all that kind of stuff is completely restored. You can also jump back and forth between it all. Difficulties in that, no problem. The rewind function, the networking stuff where you can see what other people have done, looking up the correct answers through what other people have picked for the network for the questions you'll get in class. I think that the game does a really good job in creating a game that you aren't forced to feel like you have to play on hard difficulty, but also it gives the options for people who would prefer to experience story, might not necessarily be completely competent at video games, whether or not they are skilled at JRPGs or all that kind of stuff. It does give you the option to play on easier difficulties because one of the best things about Persona games, and when I say that as someone who's played 5 Royal Strikers and then Reload, so I've not played a huge amount, but the stories in both games have been really good. So I do quite like the fact that if you would like to experience the game just for the story, you do have those options that isn't completely removing combat, but it does make it easy enough to the point where it becomes a very non-existent, just going through the motions so you can get back to the story.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one of the positives about the game. Take it away, AI.
Hello, it is I,
Bring that
AI
up, though.
Jake. So, as an AI, I also like the story too. For real though, this is what Jake wrote. He said he really likes the story, saving the world with lots of different twists, and also, as you guys mentioned, the characters. Which he said one thing that Persona is really excellent at are emotional character arcs and character progression, and that's his first point. He really enjoyed that part. All right, Soul. Second thing, take it away.
Okay, my second thing is it's just like if I can remember from the original Persona 3 game, there there were some stories that were not mentioned in Reload a little bit, and I'm kind of glad they. I think someone already talked about this, but they added a bit more to each of the characters, especially when you're doing the side quest, especially when you, or I think it's also like kind of noticeable around when you do like Junpei side quest when after encountering Shidori,
Mm-hmm.
and it adds, it just adds a bit. It just adds. I'm just gonna say it just adds a bit more to
Depth?
your friends. Yeah, more depth to your friends. Like
Yeah.
like Akihiko, like how he talks about more about like his sister and the whole
His
middle thing.
goals.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Heart
not sure
touching
if
stuff.
yep. Especially, I think it did. Especially like I'm not sure if you guys did this one, like when you do a side quest between Akihiro, Shinji, and Mitsuru. Apparently, you find out that he was about to go, I think, enroll back into the school before his demise, which is
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
painful.
When you have to clean up his room.
Yep. And I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it also and I think it also flushes more like when when Junpei started to like Shidori a bit more. I think it starts to show more when if you give the white flowers to him. And I think later on it'll show like Shidori is still alive but she doesn't remember anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just like those kinds of moments.
Made them feel real.
Yep.
That immersion, yo.
Makes me feel like it's real life. I wish.
It is real life.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways,
Apathy syndrome's real.
No, I think the dark hour just vanished already. I think around 2010.
I mean, we wouldn't know, now would we?
Yeah. Anyways,
Thanks,
next.
Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
For me, going this, I'm going to take this from the perspective of playing the original game. When I played the original Persona 3, I honestly thought this was one of the weakest points. Was your group? It's because, like, as you already know, you can form social links with Mitsuru, Yukari, Fuka, all the girls of the group. But then everybody else, they were kind of just left hung and dry. Like, you couldn't really interact with them. Koromaru, Junpei, Akihiko, Ken. Like, at the end of Persona 3, like, I enjoyed my playthrough of it, the original one. But then they kind of corrected all that in Persona 4. So seeing this game being remade and them having the focus on building up all these other characters, it was just such a joy going through it. Something as simple as having having tea with Mitsuru or learning how to cook with Akihiko, just like that extra element of getting to really know your team members. Like by the end of the game, kind of like what you guys were saying, like I really loved all the characters by the end. And it just surprised me going into this that they really honed in on that aspect. I thought they were just gonna not talk about those other characters, but I'm glad Koromaru, Akihiko, Junpei, and Ken, they got the justice they deserve. They had their own like separate storylines that you could miss it, but the game tries to like push you towards doing it. And Shinji too. Like I didn't give a F about that guy. I'll be honest. When I first played the game, I did not care about that guy at all. But this game, it made me care. And they just did an amazing job at not just like incorporating that element of knowing them, but also giving a reason to learn more about them, incorporating that into the gameplay and actually having them increase their combat capabilities, which is awesome. So they did a great job on that. And yeah, that's my thing. Well done on just further developing those characters. What about you, Force? What's another thing you like?
The other things I had was like art and like story, and I feel like I already song and music and story. But if I gotta add something, which is an interesting bit of after October 4th, if you do an all-out attack with Ken and Akihiko, they change what they say. I remember what Akihiko says is, "I do it for him. I'm doing it, do it for him," or something like that. I'm pretty sure Ken also has something to that degree, and I think that's also a bit of like making sure that you don't forget or like. The fact that like makes like the previous events of the story and how they flowed through it, that was pretty interesting. And whenever he said it, just like just like like a tiny little like, oh great, bring that up again for the umpteenth time, make me sad again. Again, I don't have anything else new to add. I remember especially with the post-credit song and just sitting there and crying because I think it was pretty powerful at the time, especially after what happens there. I don't know. I don't want to retread what other people said about the music, and I already said what I wanted about the story. If I could write story for the three things that I like, I would. There's nothing else. I already spoke my mind on it. But yeah. Next.
This one is I don't know. I'm gonna bring up the rewind system again, but mostly because this is a very specific thing I did not think I was gonna enjoy so much. Because I've been playing JRPGs for a while, and I'm guilty of having so many save files because this was before they had like, oh, you can rewatch scenes. Also before I knew how to use YouTube, so I couldn't just look up the scenes I really liked watching, you know? So I'd have these save files just to see, like, to play that scene again, or to change my answer if I wanted to know what happened next, because, you know, you didn't have the option of pulling up the network thing and seeing what other people did. So just the rewind system let me not have 99 save files. And it also very, very specifically helped me out in this instance where I was falling asleep doing Aegis' social link, but I already had a girlfriend, and this is not my harem run. I accidentally made her my girlfriend. I woke up and I was like, what is happening? Why are there hearts on the screen? What do you mean I formed a special relationship with someone else? So I rewound. Thankfully, I didn't have to go very far because I forgot to save, you know, like, I save a lot, but then I also go through chunks of, oh, I just don't need to save right now because nothing crazy's happening. You know, like, so yeah, I rewound, had to deny her my love. I felt bad, but she also took too long for me to date a robot. Gosh, dang it. But yeah, this is just a very specific, like, additional thing to these games that, like, anytime that happened, it was just nice. Or like, oh, I guess I could change who I hang out with today. I think this would be a better use of my time, so I would just rewind and change who I hung out with or something. So, you know, simple features like that make me very happy. Yeah, don't fall asleep while answering questions about your love life. You'll accidentally have all the girlfriends.
Yeah, you might end up dating a robot.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you might end up dating a robot, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go to dinner with your teacher, even.
All right, Doc. So.
All right, so the second thing that I enjoyed is Theurgy. I thought it was a cool concept, implementing, you know, super moves into the game. Something I'm guessing that's new. That wasn't in previous Persona games. And I thought it was just cool, flashy effects, awesome. It made me actually want to do the C's stories even more, so I can unlock even more flashy moves to use. Really broken, actually. Probably makes the game a little too easy, especially on hard difficulty. But it's okay. It's okay because it looks cool. And funny enough, me and Tubby spent a little bit of time looking at comparisons, and it's like night and day between the original Persona 3 and this one in terms of what they added for the combat like that. So I really appreciate them adding a little bit more into the game. And I just like when the RPGs just gives me a reason to spend time with members besides just story, kind of like have other payoffs in the end. So awesome to have Theurgy implemented. And I love the way that they did it with Fuka getting the first one. Very powerful moment.
Good job.
In
Fuka or Yukari? I thought it was Yukari who got it first. There's no one scene. What? Well, okay.
Yeah, I think it's Fuko because it's the High Priestess and the Priestess, and she has an lovers, I think. No, I
thought it was when Yukari went to save. Oh, is that after that?
Yeah, it's after.
Oh my gosh. The game just, you know, goes through a whole year. You kind of forget things.
It's all good.
I lived that year with them in those 2 months I played.
Well, actually.
Oh boy.
I'm just kidding.
All right, Genji, take it away.
I'm a bit of a loss for words, unfortunately, which is the first time that I've ever had those words come out my mouth. Because for a game that I love so much, it's weird. I'm trying to think of more positives to say that's necessarily different than what's already been said. Um, I think that everyone's touched on some really good stuff between the story, obviously the characters, the improvements that sort of made compared to the previous game. There's not really much more for me to add on. I like the fact that because obviously I didn't play Persona 3, so I don't have the original experiences, but I do, from what everyone's been saying, I really like the fact that you get the opportunity to build those relationships with other characters that wasn't existent in the first game. I think
Mhm.
that while yes, you might connect with one of the female characters, I think that it's really great that you have other characters, particularly the male characters in the game, that you can build those relationships with and get to know a bit further. Some characters I didn't necessarily think I would be enjoying quite as much at the beginning. Through getting to do some of their storylines and that, I discovered how much I really like them, or I learned to hate certain characters more and more as we got to know them. I think, though, some of the really great characters are the Bebe. I think he was really great. I also really
Yes.
liked the old man and woman. I thought I really loved that story and getting to know them more, and the tree and the acceptance of that. But then also the cancer patient. I'm
Mhm.
assuming it's cancer, but no, I just really lots of that was just really touching, and it was just yeah, it played with your emotions, and they did a really good job at characterization. And I think one of the great things that the team does when it comes to Persona is the writing overall from the few that I've experienced. So yeah, don't really have much more to say. Take it
Okay.
away, AI Jake.
Hello, I'm AI Jake. So the other thing that AI Jake also said was one thing he liked about the game was how straightforward the combat mechanics were, and they were easy to learn and pick up. Which, let's be honest, if you played any other JRPGs, I'm just gonna build on this real quick. Like sometimes they can kind of go overboard with the combat and like how many tutorials there are. Like the Tales games have a lot of tutorials for the combat, and it's just
Uh-huh.
it was nice that it was easy to pick up on, which is good. So okay, next thing, question
I felt
5.
that one.
Question 5.
Felt that
What
hard.
are two things? Hey, may have changed. I haven't played one in a while. Question 5. What are two things you did not like, and how would you improve it? And we'll be alternating for this one as well. Take it away, Soul.
Okay, this one's kind of off the bat. I'm bringing back like what I remembered from Persona 3 Face. The
Yep, go
original
for
game.
it.
I remember that you can have different types of weapons. I'm not like to suit your
Dang,
own
you took
playstyle.
mine.
Like,
Okay.
oh, stop.
Yeah.
No,
Well, you
no,
should
no,
probably add
no.
them.
Keep going.
But anyways, you can have a different variety of weapons. I don't know why they got rid of that. Maybe it's just like actually, I don't know why they did that for
I
changing the
actually was
weapon.
reading about that, crazy enough.
Oh, sweet.
This morning. Yeah,
Oh,
so yeah, I was reading about that. I think it's because when they changed some battle mechanics, they're like, this is a lot. We should just stick him to, a lot of the protagonists now have like their basic weapon type. So they just like, okay, well, he'll just be like the one-handed sword or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have like the light and dark elements apparently back then. Like that was added in at like I think after Persona 3. I don't know which Persona added it, but it was in 5 at least. So like that
4.
was another feature. So like basically when they were like changing up how many elements they were adding and all these other things with the characters, they're like, yeah, I guess we should not do that because that is a lot. Like they took out the fuse magic potion. What is it called? I don't remember.
Is it the fusing personas to weapons? Or
Oh yeah, like it was when like the theurgy basically took over this other mechanic. So they just basically changed everything to make it more streamlined for the player thing. I'm bad at words. I am not a reporter on games. I was just reading off the Wikipedia this morning about it.
Yeah, but
But go on,
I was
Soul.
just going through, so yeah, that stuff.
Say it, Soul. Say it how it is.
Yeah, but at the same
You
time,
can dislike it. That's okay. That's okay too.
it's just like I know it may sound a bit too much, but if you're making a persona character that has like the wild card, like that can change multiple personas at the same time, why can't you just like I don't, why can't the character also use like wield different weapons as well?
Especially if the
I mean, I
original
get
had
it's
it.
like because it's like you don't. Yeah, it's pretty common. Like the other characters in your party has like the same thing that has their own kind of style weapons. Like Ikari has the bow. I guess is a firearms kind of character. Mitsuru's the swords. Akihiro is the fisticuffs.
Does
Yep.
it really matter when you can pick any persona that has like the attack? If you want to do like punch, if you do slash or shooting, does it really matter when you can just switch to a persona that does that?
It does, but at the same time, if the shadow has like certain nullifications and none of your parties have like weaknesses go against it, and they have like certain physical weaknesses, I would feel like it would benefit more if you like go with like adjust the protagonist's weapons just to match it, just like as an emergency backup. If your personas you had that throughout your runs that has like long lists of personas that has like majority like physical weaknesses that you probably don't have, or any of your parties that don't have, and you can't get back to the first floor.
Is
like
your problem just because it costs health to do it? Because if auto attacking is basic, doesn't cost health, but if you're going to use a persona to use a physical move, it is going to cost health.
No, I'm just like saying it's like
It'd be nice to have.
It'll be like it's like nice to have, and again, it's probably like if you're doing like higher difficulties, it's just like you're gonna be running low in stamina and health, or your magic and health. It's like, I need to be more strategic about this, and it's like those physical weapons can be like an emergency kind of thing. If you're like trying to grind stuff or like near lower levels, but in the higher difficulty, but want to get through it. You don't want to be wasting your item, or you're like low in items and stuff like that. It's like an emergency kind of thing.
I'll quickly jump in, because I know you're talking about your point. I sort of just want to ask a question. Are you cool if I jump in, or do you want me to let you continue?
It might be almost done, but what do you want to say?
No, I was going to say that I feel like the thing that you're getting at is the idea that for the main character, like you're able to obviously use all the different sort of personas, you can jump back and forth between them. So it seems a bit jarring, the fact then that he's limited to only using one weapon type when he's meant to be the guy who can jump between any sort of persona. Is that? Yeah,
yes, yeah, it is, but it's just like it's also like your style of preferences as well.
Yeah.
You want to be you're the protagonist. You want to use like certain kinds of weapons that you want to be using, that you want to use in the long run. Like
if you can jump between different personas, why can't you jump between different weapons?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. So I just it would be more like not just a wild card as a persona user, but also a wild card for a weapon user. So if you don't want to be like missing you don't want to be like getting like reflected or something like that with the slash attack, where you just don't like swords, you don't like bows, just like stick with the weapons that you really like to use throughout your gameplay, just to make you feel like you're the one that's in control of what you want to do, or change your own fate of or change how you fight along with your party members. So yeah, next.
Yeah, I mean,
And also, I would like to add on to that.
Okay.
This is a fire topic.
I agree with So saying, because especially after Tubby told me about it, I was like, oh, hey, that kind of separates it from the other personas. Not only that, I thought, how cool would it be? Because I found Aragaki's like suit, and then you find his other gear. How cool would it be if you could use his weapon, like afterwards for the entire game?
That would be perfect. Like just honoring a.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure,
maybe if he has like a. And you get like a special voice line if you finish, attack with it.
That'd be
What do you
freaking
mean?
sick.
Nothing happened on October 4th.
Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah,
no.
you're
This
right,
is
never
assuming.
mind.
It's assuming something happened on October 4th.
Yeah, assuming, sorry.
You did the bad end, the bad
Or
end.
can you imagine just like wearing his stuff and then at the final battle, just like
That
Just
suit would be too big for him, just saying.
I know,
Tag's a short guy.
no, it's just like Shinji would
Canonically
be there,
5'7".
like- no, that's hang on. Just like Shinji's just like being there at the last battle, like already like nearing dead, like at 1 HP and stuff like that, and he'd be there just like to back him up, just like one last time, or something like
I mean,
that.
the boss fight he kind of was, but just his voice.
But no,
I see what you mean.
One thing that, and I'm glad Soul brought this up because this is actually one of the things that I wish they would have added and kept, is you would think, okay, yeah, the main character using everyone's weapons it's cool. But the fact that in the original game, he had different styles of like holding the weapons too, like it was so unique and different, like how he held the spear versus how Ken held the spear. Like he was a lot more confident with like using everything. And again, is it needed in the grand scheme of things of what Force was saying? Probably not. Is it freaking badass? Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Would have been amazing for it to be in there. But I'm glad you brought up Soul and also Noxo. Glad you guys talked about it. All right, for me, this is kind of a weird one, but let me cook this a little bit. So in the original game, and people are probably going to disagree with this, and that's okay. I just want to get this out there. So in the original game, one of the reasons why people say Persona 3 was considered one of the hardest games was not only were you dealing with, which I'm glad they fixed, not you had to deal with the fact that you couldn't control your party members. Like that was its biggest negative. But there was also a fatigue system in place because throughout the game, they talk about how energy draining Tartarus is. I think it would be really cool, especially on hard or higher, if they were to kind of reincorporate that fatigue system into the game to add that extra layer of difficulty. Because it's hard to explain it without playing the original, but having to actually purposely sleep in class in order to get you prepared for Tartarus the night later was like it was a part of that balancing act, like having your character having other characters stay in for too long and then having to swap them out because they were just getting tired over time and they weren't performing as optimally. I think that could have, of course there's a lot of things they have to rework, but they could have definitely incorporated that into the game and kind of added more layers of complexity. Because let's face it, like I know Tartarus, especially the newest rendition of it, they do try to change things up with the types of different shadows that appear, like the different statuses they have. And they included the whole thing about finding cats and finding people, which is awesome new additions. But I swear, if they figured out how to incorporate that fatigue system and really incorporate into the gameplay of exploring Tartarus, because let's face it, Tartarus is not as complex as like Persona 5's, dungeons. It would have just been another layer of that's a special thing about Persona 3, and it would have been cool if they figured out a way to incorporate that into the game. The exploration,
unique mechanic.
the fatigue, even going to the bathroom would help relieve fatigue too, which was funny. So
does it really?
So it's just like
I probably don't go to the bathroom much.
It's one of those things.
The game is real life.
Yeah, it became real life. Like sleeping during class or being so tired that you couldn't stay awake during class. It's like, I'm just saying, they could have done so many cool things with it, and it would have been cool for them to just explore that idea even more. But that's my thing. The hard, anyone who's played hard, everybody who's played hard, let's face it, it was pretty easy by the end.
Yeah,
it started out a little difficult, but it just tapered off. And I feel like if they were to incorporate this, especially for people who are experienced with the Persona series, again, it just adds another layer of complexity.
Can you also break relationships, like things, like break the social links completely in the original?
They did. Like you could.
I was reading that
you could break social links if you weren't careful with what you're saying. And I think
also, if you weren't hanging out with them regularly enough, they would like reverse or they would go back or get stunted. Pretty much, like you had to.
Like real life.
You were rotating out your friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, that was a mechanic. I forgot that. And I'm like, this is so easy. I could ignore someone for like 3 months and they don't care.
So it's interesting because the series is like, it's made like amazing changes of quality of life stuff. But everyone who's played hard on Persona 3 Reload, it's kind of like it's gotten like very easy. It lost some of its.
I can see. I was wondering why it was so like after the lovers
You know-
boss. I was like, why is it so easy? And now maybe taking those mechanics out actually did that without really reworking a lot of the combat.
It's hard,
To
man.
make it
And then having
Math
control over your
difficulty.
characters.
Tubby,
Yeah,
I'm kind of glad you brought that up because I was a little bit concerned of like, am I the only one that's thinking like it's a bit too easy even on normal difficulty? Because I remember normal.
I mean,
I
on
remember
normal.
normal difficulty being so destructive, like
Like-
screwing me
like
over.
me
and
fighting
that-
Nyx for over an hour. The
Yeah.
original game, yeah. I
it was
was
like I was like
I fell asleep. I woke up. You're still playing.
yep.
Yeah, and I was concerned. I was like, is that? And it was my first time playing a Persona game too. It was like, wow, I should not have done normal, and I went to easy mode, and I still got some difficulties out of that. I think it was like
This is a
halfway
lot
normal.
more of a beginner entry friendly kind of Persona game, and that's okay too.
Yeah,
You're right. We should probably toss them into Persona 3 face and see how they feel.
it's
Yeah, throw them back into Persona Hell.
it's interesting though because it's like don't get me wrong, I'm glad and grateful with like how the series has evolved, but as they keep adding these things that make the game, let's say, easier and more accessible, it's like you're also losing some of the game's identity. It's interesting. I guess that could literally be its own video, so I'm not going to dive too far into it. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Force though.
Okay. This is something I have a problem in general with the genre of JRPGs is I hate the silent protagonist. It's the self-inserting bullshit. Sorry, I can't stand it. And that's like I don't understand. I get the character is supposed to be kind of a blank slate and why he's able to do so many personas that he can be a different type of person with every other person, but I never understood it, and I feel like it kind of takes away from the story if like the fact that he doesn't talk. But
Oh, okay.
that's just a personal thing. I do not like silent protagonists, and I played a lot of like Nintendo games. And I know what it is, but a game like this that is so narrative and story driven, I would have just rather them call him by his name instead of. I don't care that NPC is using my name. I don't care. I'd rather them just say my name. Again, that's the thing I have like story. Same thing with like Genshin. I'd just rather them call him Aether or Lumine instead of being called the Traveler.
I agree on that.
I have a damn name, but they do kind of anyway. Also, some of the cringy dialogue, especially the beach scene. I hated the beach scene. It makes me crawl my skin. It made me super uncomfortable. And like some of even the social links, especially the one that got more like creepy and like I think I even say borderline pervy. I do not like. Maybe like versely like I know there's also a thing apparently in Persona 5 there's also kind of something like that where you can it's just a thing in Persona games in general like this weird relationship and that sort of stuff and that kind of like makes me like I don't
talked about the
touch
teacher.
that. Yes, I am talking about the teacher in Persona 5, yes.
Sorry,
Shout out to the
sorry.
teacher.
And also there's also a teacher in this game as well that turns creepy.
At least it's not fully an option this time.
Anyway.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
There's two. Well, the other kid is just. I forgot the magician.
Kenji, your favorite.
Yeah, I love them. I did finish his Persona and Social Link Plus, and I. Anyway, that kind of like is like put a sour taste in my mouth when I do Game Plus. I just fast forward through the entire like, that scene because it made me super uncomfortable, and I don't want to flirt. Kind of like. I don't know, that's just my own 2 cents of it, and I get it. It's just a thing that comes with this genre, but like, I wish they'd tone it down a little bit, especially some of Junpei's fake constantly hitting on the girls. Like, stop! I don't want to hear you hit on them every 2 minutes. Anyway.
Yeah, the beach scene with that was I found to be really uncomfortable. Also, just seeing Junpei like just hit on and like the sexualization of like his friends at the beach. It was weird.
Yeah.
Maybe
You do
I'm
tone it down
gonna. I feel like
Dude.
I'm gonna be a little different in opinion on that, just because like,
Hey, yeah,
Yo.
that's fine.
yeah, well, just cause like one, high school, two, if you don't show it somewhere, people are not gonna think these people are real. Because these are real. These are
Yeah.
real. I felt those moments.
I
Like,
had-
yeah, it's ick.
I know people like that. In
Yep.
I
Like,
think
it's
it's exaggerated
ick.
too much.
I don't think it was. I actually thought that
Yeah.
like they could have put it on so much harder. Like in most animes, it goes like every single second. That is their personality. Talking about Mineta. Anyway, but it's like I at least got to see, like there were moments that Junpei was a serious guy and stuff like that. And like
Yeah.
there are guys who are just playboys, like that is their personality. Like this is who they are. There's no way of making them better, but you just accept this is the best version you'll get as a homie, Like and then the guys doing guy things in high school, like Akihiko too mature for that, but like at the same time he's gonna get up to some silly goofy stuff when he's dragged around by these second years. Not that he wants to, he's just stuck, like I guess I'm here now, So
Especially
it's like I
within-
actually felt it made sense, at least for 2009 high schoolers.
Yeah, especially given the fact that when you go to the command room and go through the recording, and seeing like Akiko trying to do something like witty and stuff like that, just to
Actually trying to be charismatic in his
Yeah.
own like mirror, like that is so goofy, silly, cringy, but like who hasn't at least like looked at themselves and like tried? They're like, you should smile in the mirror, makes you feel better or whatever.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Who has Sims
Another
taught me that.
Dave, I had the problem with this because these are teenagers, and I don't want them talking about teenagers like that. It's just another level of like ick. I don't want to hear people, even if like no, they're teenagers talking to teenagers. At a certain point, I'm like, I don't want to hear them talking about this or like I don't know. That's just my own personal problem with it. It's just like I don't want to hear that. To a certain level, I get to the certain extent, but at a certain point, it just feels like it's
It is icky,
borderline
yes.
creepy and gross. But yeah, anyway.
Okay. What about you, Bajoran? What's your one thing?
Oh my gosh, I forgot I'm going next. Let's flip this around and talk about something very different. So, as I said earlier, I am a item hoarder. My bags be full, inventory always maxed. So the fact that this game, and I've played a few Persona games, and this is still a common problem I'm seeing. Like, thank you for these other accessibility stuff, but why is there somehow still not an inventory sort filter feature? Why is that not a thing?
Thank you.
It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be either sort by, like alphabetized or something like that.
Most
like,
recent.
You have one whole one whole like tab for like recently obtained items. But you don't have like that as like a filter for like recently obtained oldest item or alphabetized or by type, just sorting like I want to look at only SP items, for example, or only my incense, which is in the middle of your consumable items. Like that's just one expansive list of like everything under the sun, Gosh, I just want, please give me sort and filter features, please. You have no idea how many times I've used the wrong item because there's just so much going on and I'm trying to scroll really fast because I've been in Tartarus too long and I just want to go home and sleep in my dorm bed, I have wasted some good items doing this, and I've also fricked myself over when I am literally the only one still alive and I accidentally use an odd morsel and I get the, random chance of some weird ailment being attached to me and now I'm poisoned and I'm dead. That would not happen with a sort filter feature in my inventory. Gosh dang it. Sorry. I have a lot of feelings about this.
Okay. No, I agree
Sorry.
with you. That's a good one, though.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
This game is so good. Why can't you give me a sort filter feature? Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Next speaker, please.
All right, so I like the idea of a roguelike element in RPG, but this could have been executed better. I'm just basing this off of knowing that this game was made during an older era when it was still trying to find its footing. Just the Tartarus done better, because for the majority of it was pretty boring. Going up the same floors, going to them on that door, just kind of going
Mhm.
around finding chests. Similar. I mean, this is also it's because I played Persona 5 first. So the dedicated dungeons in that game is what I feel is what I enjoy more personally, and just the way that they keep a little bit of a puzzle element in those dungeons too, and they're just handcrafted more to be more unique. The only thing that really changes is the floors and the visuals, especially. Oh, what floor is it that really hurts your eyes? I dislike that floor so much.
Oh,
That gave me a
170.
headache.
Yeah,
Yeah,
late
that
hundred.
floor.
Let me search up that name. I think I know.
The
what that-
rainbows.
Yeah, I know what
Yeah,
you're
I
talking
did
about.
not like that.
Yep, the one that's
floor.
showing up on the stream right now.
I
think it's
thought I was high.
Habash or
It was
whatever?
painful.
Something hash or something. Hang on. let me search it up.
Mm-hmm.
Haberdashery.
That one, super annoying. I wish that was just not in there. And I guess what I would have loved the game to do is like similar to the pre-shadow boss fights, where you and your team is kind of preparing for combat. I would have liked to just see more of that inside the game. What about having your team being split up? I know Tubby talked about you were able to sing your team and you'll see them like running on the floors in the
Yup.
original Persona.
I was actually going to talk about that too.
I think that would have been really cool just to give a little bit more complexity towards the game. Like I understand streamlining it. I understand keeping it really to the original, but also I feel with the other things that they've done in the game, they could just phrase it a little bit more to give it a little more depth. As much as I love hearing about getting a chest for the 100th time, as they say, having a few more voice lines when finding the treasure chest also will have been great. And sometimes the audio just cuts out. Sometimes you miss specific parts. Going into battle, just right before a shadow just cuts out right in the middle of a conversation. So after the battle, it would have been cool just to continue that specific conversation between the characters. Next.
Before we continue, the name of that floor that you're talking about that's like disorienting is called Haraba, Garden of the
Hey.
Scorched.
I was pretty close with haberdashery.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this has to do something like burning your eyes or something like that. It's probably like
Burning your bread.
Burn my bread.
No, that's probably later on, but yeah, it's probably related. There's probably some sort of relation to it, like how it's like burning, like Garden of the Scorch. I'm just like thinking like all these dizzying colors can probably just like burn your eyes, and you want to close your eyes and just don't want to see it or something like that.
And you
But
die.
I could be wrong. So yeah,
All right. Take it away, Genji.
The issue I'm gonna take is not necessarily directly at the game, but it's the monkey paw aspect that comes with Persona 3 Reload regarding the studio. Issue I've got is that we see in remakes and remasters and all that kind of thing, the concept of remaking or remastering the original game. And the thing that I take issue with is, well, yes, we have seen certain elements come over from Persona 5 Royal. We've seen certain aspects come from Fez and all that kind of thing. But for example, we saw earlier in Persona 3 Fez, I think it was the introduction of the ability to play as either the male or female, like a male or female. There was that option again, which also goes back to the whole accessibility, player friendliness aspect, but also the fact that you have this really great, amazing game, but then they go, well, we're going to withhold content and sell it to you as a DLC. And the thing I'm taking issue with is the fact that the answer or episode Aegis is not actually part of the game and they're selling it as a separate DLC. And the issue I've got is that you have this really amazing game, but then it comes off like a monkey paw where you have something really good, but then something bad comes as that side effect. We've seen it in other games, not necessarily by Atlas, but we saw in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, where it was the remakes of the base games, even though Platinum was a far superior game. We've seen that in other games where they go, well, we'll remake or focus on the original, even though there are certain aspects of other games that are connected to it that have this extra stuff, but we're going to ignore and pretend it doesn't exist and hand this up as the definitive experience. Oh, but by the way, you have to spend a whole bunch of money to get something that was technically part of the original game, but a redo of that original game. And I don't have an issue with them doing something like Persona 3 Reload because I really personally enjoyed Royal. I thought that was a huge improvement over Persona 5. It's one of my favorite games still to this day. But it just feels like with this game, you don't have all the content, and there's part of it that makes it feel gross that you have to spend a huge chunk of money to get something that was originally part of one of the Persona 3 experiences to begin with.
Mhm.
So, again, not directly a issue with Persona 3 as a gameplay thing. It's more of an issue I take up with the publisher, developers, whoever was the one who made the decision. Ultimately, I do think it negatively impacts Persona 3 Reload as an overall feature complete, like the definitive experience. It's not really definitive when you're missing content from a version of the game that came out many, many years before. And regardless of what you'd like to argue, the reasoning is, the point is you could go and buy Fez, and you could, if you have the console and all that, you could experience that without having to spend the extra money to purchase it because it is directly within the game. Again, not the fault of the game. It's not like the game has done that. It's the decisions behind the business and the practice behind money, which is the thing I have an issue with. So, and because of
definitely
that,
could
purely,
do.
I'm not. Yeah, and because of that, I am not. Despite how much I love Persona, I, for context, spent money on Personas and that for either Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal. Like, I have physically spent money on costumes or Personas and all that kind of thing because I really enjoyed the game. And I didn't feel like in that instance it was necessarily withholding an experience. Like, my experience with the game isn't changed because I don't have access to a specific persona in the game. My experience, because Persona, as all of us here have touched on, we've all really enjoyed the story, the characterization, and all that. And yes, the answer, episode 8, I guess whatever you'd like to refer it as, does continue to build on story and characters and explain certain things. So because of that being a huge part of Persona, it doesn't feel right for that to be withheld as a DLC when it was already in another version of the game previously. I'm not buying it purely because I don't feel comfortable with that, and I'm just going to watch it online because I don't like the idea of giving money for that kind of thing. So, yeah. Next, take it away, AI, Jake.
Hello, it is I, AI Jake. So, a couple things that Jake wrote, because they're really small. First was he didn't like that a lot of teenage characters were over-sexualized, which was already brought up. And the second thing he said is the game was pretty slow to start, but it gained momentum after the first boss. So there's a couple of things he said. So go ahead and say your second thing you did not like, and how would you improve it?
Okay, another one is that, like, if you're being the leader, I remember this from the original Persona 3. Is like you can also command your team, like splitting up, like wanting to fight or like get treasure, something like that. Or like trying to find the stairs so you don't have to like spend in one area, just like to advance further up, or like have them grind on their own. If it's just like on the lower level, on the weakest levels or the weakest levels, monsters on the floor. I kind of wish they brought that back, just because you may be the leader, but I think so. I think who said that again? Force, right? When you talked about like the whole protagonist kind of thing, like the silent protagonist in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I want to be the leader, but I wanted to, if I'm being put as a leader, I need to have like command,
Things to
like,
lead.
yeah, things to lead or like tell them what to do here, make them what to do. I know it's implemented in the battle probably, but I mean like open, like in the dungeon crawling experience, like trying to get the floor, like get the whole floor mapped out. I know there's a scouting option. But I'm like, I want to have the whole commanding mechanics like that they use in Persona 3 phase.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just like to make me feel like an actual leader, not just like being told. Then forgive me, Fuka, but not to be told around by like Fuka or something like that. I know other team members will ask you if you want to do it, but I'm like, if I want to be doing that, if it's like if it's gonna be a small floor like that, just or something around there, I want to at least have it under my control, like to see what's up, or it's like how far is that border floor, and then just like wait there or something like that, or something.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're too weak, they die.
Yes.
Yep.
Then you can rescue them on that floor.
Or it's just like I know
Sorry.
Fuka would tell you that once you interact with her, I forgot the button. It's like the touchpad on the PlayStation controller. Like she will ask you what do you need, and it's like what's the situation on the floor, and then she'll tell you where. Or it's like if
Or
it's
look at her
there's
skills.
if they can add like not just like the commanding, like if they can just add the commanding ability with like a little bit of challenge, like she can't detect like a certain floor and needs and you have like an ability or like the commanding ability to tell certain team members like to go check that floor until you get up there. Maybe probably like once you like successfully scan the whole floor and then want to try and move up, but you're scared of what the risks are. You can probably like send one up there and see what's going on, at least.
Mm-hmm.
You think? Are you getting what I'm saying?
I'm getting what you're saying. I got it.
I got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, something like that. Just to make it feel like I'm the actual protagonist. I'm the actual leader. I am the captain of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So I can lead.
Now.
Yep, and I can spearhead this operation with ease without getting anyone killed or getting screwed over by the Reaper. That's just probably ambushing me at the next floor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, next.
I mean, like Souls is literally just picking every single thing that I was gonna say.
I'm so sorry.
But it's because he's seen me play the original game, and again, I agree with him. It's kind of interesting because it takes looking at what Soul said, looking at what Nakuso said. There has to be more complexity in the gameplay in Tartarus. Like, sure, that may have worked back then when the game first came out, but games have evolved quite a bit, and just seeing these missed opportunities is kind of like what's making me a little sad about the game. Kind of like what Saul was saying, the ability to split up your party, make the floors a little bit larger, more complex would have been amazing. Telling a party member to just search for items only, or to just perform scouting and have them go up floors, and you're intentionally stating what each person is going to do, would have been incredible. If a party member gets effed up by death on floor 5 floors above you, hey, that was your call. You made a mistake. Now you need to go find that person's carcass and navigate around death and pick up all that stuff, or else you lose everything. Or better yet, have that party member get sent home for the night if they're not recovered in time. It's just like there's so many things that were taken away from this remake, which is I really wish, even if they didn't incorporate this into any other Persona games in the future, I really wish they would have honed in on these small things, the different weapon types, the exploration mechanic, the things that made Persona 3 so unique from the other games, really hone in on that and just develop it even further. But yeah, I don't want to go on for too long because Soul pretty much said a lot of that. But yeah, you're being able to control your party and how you explore Tartarus would have been amazing.
That would also, when you guys mentioned earlier, the difficulty not being difficult enough, like having that included as your difficulty goes up or whatever, it's just like you would a lot more character lol player error would also make the game harder, just because now you have so many options. You could tackle this a very different way. So I think that I agree with your guys' points. Like, it would also fix the issue about the difficulty loss, I guess, because they optimized a lot and then didn't add the complexity back in with the optimizations.
Correct. Yep. But hey, that's just my thing. What about you, Force?
I feel like the randomness of the rewards. I know you could increase it if you do an all-out attack, but I feel like so arbitrary when the hell you got it. And like I
You
don't
mean
know,
like the
there was
cards?
like yeah, the cards when not even the rewards. I know you could do it if you do an all-out attack and actually kill it, but I feel like it's a little bit random, more especially with the combat. It felt like with most like I don't know, it felt a little it's like I don't know, not kind of generic in terms of JRPGs. You just gotta match the type combos. What you gotta write the right types, and you just it's fun, but it also at times can be frustrating. It's just like I feel like the combat was very simplistic. I don't know. Maybe it's just because again the direction of turn based. It's just it kind of is the genre in general. But it's more to do with the randomness of like the reward system in that, and it was very kind of annoying you. And I wish there was a better way to know or understand it. Definitely prefer this way of getting new personas than like Persona 5 where you can recruit them. I do prefer this way as a way like you could just get a cards instead of having to like play like a random dating sim to get like the right matchup
Speed
of
date
words.
with the shadow.
Yeah, with the shadows. I thought that's at least more more. I prefer that over like the just getting the cards, but sometimes like the rewards are too sporadic, or maybe I just didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, again, like Tartarus at certain points just becomes pretty mind numbing, and you're spending there like, oh, I've been 2 hours in Tartarus, just running around doing jack or whatever, or trying to open up enough chests and not having an idea if I open enough chests so that other team members can catch up to their level. I did wish when I first did New Game Plus and I opened the first chest, I was really hoping that they could go all the way up to my level. But I learned that wasn't a thing. I was like, oh. But I was like, damn it. I guess more nitpicky with New Game Plus is that like I wish you could like streamline the game even further, even more than the game already does it for you. But even then you can't just skip so much dialogue and like skip thing, and the replayability is not really accessible to someone because I don't know how many people can afford to spend 100+ hours to replay to get like the social links that they missed or the personas that they missed, or you miss a deadline and it's way too late in the game, or the replayability is kind of, you say rewind, but I don't think the rewind can only go so far in telling you how to with it all. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Or I felt they could use more like new dialogue that they know that you're doing New Game Plus, like some notions of like that you're doing something, because the game is like where death and time is very central to the story, and some like tongue-in-cheek reference to it would have been fun instead of like more. Anyway, there was nothing there, and there's really anything to do about New Game Plus instead of just re-catching up. There's not a lot of incentive to do outside of that. You do get all your personas. Even then, it kind of depends how much money you finish the game with, because at that point you don't have enough. You might not have enough money to buy your personas back, and you're just like stuck with that. You gotta like, man, it's like, oh, even though you say you want to bring in Messiah, but it was not on your team, and you don't have enough money by the end of it, or whatever the hell. But yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Next.
So I'm still on. We're conveniently all have something to say about like game mechanics in terms of like the fighting and stuff. So I'm going to talk about something that was cool in Persona 5 that I wish was included here, because especially when you start scaring off the shadows, which is a thing you could also do in Persona 5, at some point your ambush gets so good because you're so strong that you just end the fight without ever entering it, you know? Like, quick and easy, it's done, you got your rewards and everything. If you had a shuffle time magically like spawn in, maybe you can still like do it, just not having to actually complete the fight. Because I know in Persona 3 Reload you can upgrade your ambush by like going on the computer and like looking at websites and stuff, and it just does it. And as far as I know, it doesn't go any higher than like, you know, adding more ailments or whatever. But it's just nice that when you're grinding in Tartarus, since as the game progresses, you can get so many more major Arcana cards. So it's kind of like you kind of want to stay the whole time to at least get the Arcana burst. Because before you're like, well, I'm in and out. I don't necessarily have to stay here forever because I already got everything I needed. But this one's like, I'm gonna grind because it's kind of feels like a waste to not use those major Arcana cards. So instead of having to fight all these weaklings over and over again and having to go through these fights while I'm half awake, I'd rather just slash them if they're like weak enough to me, you know, and just end the fight. Get my stuff, move on, get my XP, we good. Next floor, please. You know, especially like if they keep wanting to go back to like save random missing people. Like, you've already grinded so hard, like, please let me just avoid having to go through the battle animations over and over again. Please. It worked in Persona 5. Give it to us here, please. Especially when they, you know, they're really talking up this whole ambush thing, like when the mechanic is introduced and like, oh, it's leveled up now, you can do these things. Now you don't have to run so far to, you know, do a strike up and do a special kind of ambush. It's like, well, give us the final form of the ambush where I don't even have to fight. I've already assassinated them from behind, you know? Like, I just think that was a good thing to have added, especially as you work for that because you are so strong. And then you don't have to deal with the weaklings on the lower floors or the regular floors when you're grinded so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It just extends the playtime and kind of goes mind-numbing. And that's when the Reaper shows up and kills you because you're falling asleep. And you weren't prepared for it. This happened to me.
The Reaper just...
I woke up to be, like, the alarms sirening, you know? The siren's alarming. Man, I can't get words right today. I'm so sorry. But I woke up so fast. It was like 2 a.m. I'm like, this should not be this loud. Why is the Reaper here? I was only closing my eyes for 30 seconds, I swear.
I can just imagine right now the moment you just like, hey, what's that rattling sound? All of a sudden you wake up and you see the screen. The screen doesn't show the Reaper yet, but as you slowly turn
I didn't even when I heard the rattling, I was like, that's like, cool. I didn't think about it. I forgot that like the Reaper would do that. I was like, that's cool. Didn't know that was part of the soundtrack, and I'm like, no, wait a second. There's sirens now.
I'm just imagining like you just waking up and all of a sudden just like the Reaper just like stopping there as you turn the camera around like at your team's back.
Oh, it's giving me time to react. That's crazy. It knows I'm sleeping.
It just stands there like menacingly, like right behind you. It's like, and then there's like this one dialogue that says like as you wake up, hi. It's just like in a menacing tone. It's like, oh, it just initiates the fight immediately. With the enemy advantage kind of thing going on.
Oh, it definitely had advantage. I woke up because I entered the fight, or he smacked me in the face. I don't know. I didn't even see it happen. I just was in the fight.
No,
it wasn't even a dark zone. It was just I just fell asleep, like in real life.
Oh my god! All right,
ambush mechanic, please and thank you. Next.
So my second dislike for this one, it's something I'm really surprised because the game usually tells you before going to other battles. It's the optional in-game boss. Just like Genji mentioned, I did not know what to do against this boss because you have to have certain abilities not on your persona. Otherwise, you will get one shot by this boss. And I was like, that's interesting that the game doesn't give you any rules for this battle. You just go into it. So I really had to look up a guide to see what I was doing wrong. Because I tried like 5 times, like, okay, maybe I'm doing something specific. May I switch out persona? But no, specifically, if you have block, repel, drain, or you use Armageddon early on, this boss will one-shot you. You will be destroyed. And you will wonder what the heck is going on. And I looked up the guide. You really kind of have to prepare for this battle, which is, that's a cool idea. You actually have to prepare certain setups to make it easier. But if you're new to this game in the series, and you have not played the original, you're not going to know how to beat this boss unless you have like a lot of time on your hands. So, easy way, just give you the rules of what you should have or shouldn't have going into this battle. And that's pretty much it. Maybe give you like a hint on some things that will be effective. But yeah, it's just really weird that you go into this battle, you think it's going to be, everything's easy to this point. You just get one-shotted, but you just have no idea why. And in order to do all that, you have to do a lot of time fusing, getting the right fuses with the personas, going back and forth. And that is one big reason I did not want to do that specific trophy. So, yeah.
It was a stupid boss fight.
It was a stupid boss fight, but it was like a cool idea.
Handled poorly, but yeah.
Dare I ask,
yeah.
Yeah.
was the boss?
What?
Sure. It was does anyone care?
Nah,
Yeah, you can
I
go.
think I already
Spill the
mentioned it
tea.
earlier on.
Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, you did. Elizabeth
Yeah,
is
I mentioned
the
it
optional
beginning. Yeah,
boss.
Elizabeth.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that's a thing that they started doing with all the Persona games now. There's always the secret
Yeah.
boss, which is actually just the Velvet Room assistant.
Mhm.
Cool. I'm not. The first
How did
time
it
was
got
amazing.
handled?
Cool the first time. Once you've seen it after that, you're like, I can't wait to fight the Velvet Room assistant.
Oh yeah, this
Oh,
is the
boy.
first time I ever seen that, so I thought that was cool.
I just want to
'Cause I
fight
didn't do
Igor's
it in
nose.
5.
Just want to fight Igor's
Right?
nose.
Why won't they let me fight his nose?
Because he's just powerful enough.
But I
His
want to
voice
test my
difference
skill.
in 5 and 3 is so jarring to hear.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
It's like, what the hell is this voice?
He didn't
I
make
mean,
the
there was
cut.
a plot
He didn't
reasoning
make-
for the voice being different.
Yeah, a friend of mine told me that.
Okay, well, that's a spoiler. I'm sorry. Anyways,
I'm so sorry.
go ahead, Genji. Take it away.
So my last issue with Persona 3 that I realized I want to talk about is the fact that I feel it's almost been royalified. And what I mean by that is I'm not complaining about the features and stuff they've added in, quality of life and all that sort of stuff. Like, I think it's fine, even though arguably you could say the 3Gs and the rewind that make things a bit too easy, arguably, and it sort of detracts away from the fundamental aspects of a Persona game, at least from the couple I've played. But just the overall tone and feel and environment of the game. And what I did was, after I beat Persona 3 Reload, I felt like I was missing something. Like there was just something that wasn't quite there. Because for a game that explores the concept of death and how well it handles those overall themes throughout the game, it felt like there was something I just wasn't quite getting, or there was something that just wasn't quite clicking
Mhm.
with me. So I went and ended up looking online and watching some videos and that. And the one thing that I found to be really different with this compared to the originals is the color and the way it handles cutscenes with music and dialogue and that. And part of that comes down to, I would argue, the limitations of the PlayStation 2. You had to be a lot more creative with how you approach stuff. But just I feel like the overuse of explicit dialogue within Reload and the changes regarding the music and the coloring really made a huge difference, and not in a positive way. I found that Persona 3, the originals, were a lot darker. It was a lot more, you could argue, a little bit more bland color wise. Reload is a lot more colorful. Visual wise, it's a lot more akin to Royal. The use of audio during certain cutscenes, where you would have moments such as, from what I've watched, in one of the original cutscenes for the beginning of the game, when You have the initial gun scene in the house, the apartment, whatever you want to call it, and you don't really have much talking going on. You have the use of silence. You then also during the attempt, the awakening, I think, of one of the first personas or whatever, just the scene with Death. I'll call him Death for little boy. It's just easy because his persona arcana is Death. But just with Death, like you have the approach to the unlocking the persona and that to be a lot more eerie. Some of the boss fights also, some of the bosses were a lot more creepy in the original from what I could see compared to Reload, and even the final boss fight, like just the fact that everything's just green. Like, why does it need to be as green as it is? Like, we're looking at a game that explores death. You've got characters who die. I don't need everything to visually pop and be as pretty as Royal, because Persona Royal and that were covering a lot more different themes compared to Persona 3. For a game that explores that kind of thing, I would have wanted it to. I feel like they, with the use of technology and with the hundreds of gigs of storage we can have in cloud and the technological improvements we've made when it comes to video games and technology and all that kind of stuff, sometimes it feels like we go more so the idea of style over substance and the idea of going how much can we include and the changes we can make, compared to looking back and going, well, do we need to make these changes? How is it going to improve the game? As I've talked about with pseudo dissonance and that, is sometimes the idea of going that what you're doing doesn't necessarily match the theme of what's going on, and it creates that split and divide. And I felt very jarring, and it was very apparent in this game where I felt like I was just missing something. And while yes, there were certain moments that were unsettling and a little bit creepy, I don't think that they were probably done as well as they could. And I do kind of want to go from, after experiencing this, trying to play and explore the other Persona 3 games, because I feel like I would overall get a much better sense of the aspects and the themes that they're exploring of this game. I would have much rather preferred that more dull, less audio talking voiceover stuff and more of the more subtle with the use of music and approaches that they did in the originals. So yeah, I mean, as I said, I've not played the originals, but that's just from what I've seen online through watching some videos and seeing brief snippets of stuff. I just feel like they did a better job with the earlier ones for that aspect compared to what they've done with Reload. And that's quite disappointing overall, because I love all things spooky and creepy and horror. So,
okay.
Yeah, that is my final point. Now, Jake, the AI Aegis, take away with your final point.
Hello, it is I, Jake Aegis Type 1. So now, my final thing, the thing that I did not like. So Jake wrote, which is actually really true, there's not enough unique enemy types. Normal enemies typically have the same character model, just with a different color pattern and sometimes different weaknesses. And that was pretty much it. And I agree with that. It would have been cool to add a little bit more
I agree.
variety. But we are now moving on to question 6, the final question. The make it or break it question. What is your final verdict and final rating from 0 to 10 using a 0.5 scale? Take it away, Soul.
Man. Well, I know it kind of follows true to the original story of the Persona 3, but with some in-depth characters of your team, and probably a bit more into the social links. While there's some downsides like no commanding mechanics or different weapon types for the protagonist. When there's some other dungeon mechanics that we all talked about here and there, but it does kind of make it up with just like the characters, the art, music, in the gameplay in a way. So I'm gonna give this game 9 personas out of 10.
Dang. All right.
That's a lot of
That's
personas.
a lot of personas.
Nah, that could
Which
go
one
that-
would
that
you
could go
lick?
much more.
Which one would you lick?
Sorry.
I
Call back.
already gave you my answer.
Yeah, he's gonna lick a god. Remember?
Oh, you're right. He's ambitious.
Oh man. Okay.
Next.
For mine. So I absolutely love the original Persona 3 game. Like that is where I started the series back on the PS2 days. I still have very fond memories. I mean, the fact that Soul and Bajoran reference it a lot in this recording just shows how much I was playing that game. And we can go on and on about and nitpicking every single problem of this game. Like there's obviously there's apparent problems with the game. Just look at the previous section. But the fact that this game exists and it was remade to this level, it's just really cool seeing the evolution of this entire series from 3 to 4 to 5 and coming back to 3 again and just seeing how everything has improved over time. It's mind-boggling to me to see that this series is actually as popular as it is. Because back then, when I would say, "Oh, have you ever played Persona?" people would just think I'm crazy. But then when I hit them with the punchline of saying, "Oh, it's a game where high schoolers shoot themselves in the head to summon demons," it's like that's how I was able to convert people to take a look at it. Because Persona 3 was just one of those games that was kind of like an underground game. No one knew about it, but the people who did experience it were talking heavily about it. And just to see how the series has evolved over time, it's just amazing. I love this game. There are definitely things I would have loved to see that we touched upon previously, but either way, I'm giving this game 9 babies disturbing the peace out of 10. It's a great game. Definitely, it's probably one of the like most accessible Persona games. I'd say go for it if you're in. And then Force, take it
Agreed.
away.
I haven't been this interested in a story for like a long period of time in a video game. It's been a long time since I was this deeply interested in the story. Since Disco Elysium, and that's my favorite game of all time. I feel like the game loop inside and outside felt smooth for the most part. The start is definitely the strongest part. Like I said, made me cry multiple times. Even though my biggest problem was the cringy dialogue, but it was such outnumbered. It's like a drop in the ocean, but like even still at that point, if that's like my biggest problem with the game, I feel like you did something really well. Like if that's my biggest problem with it, I definitely. The game felt pretty close to Pokemon, which is another JRPG. Finding the right time to master the game was frustrating and fun at the same time. Team building didn't feel like it was important at all because the MC could do anything. He could be whatever you needed to fit into the right team comp. He could do it for you. But I'm gonna give this game 9.5. I can't give it a 10 because I don't think it's hard for a perfect game to come up. Like what people have said earlier, it's just that there's things in the games that I feel like I could have done better, more in the gameplay and the replayability. But yes, I feel that that's where I'll leave it off.
Okay. Then Majoran.
Ayo. So, as we've mentioned so many times, I was obviously super young when the original Persona 3 had entered my eyeballs as a child because of Tubby and Soul. But it still left such an influence on me that I freaking screamed when this game was announced, you know? Like, I didn't have the same connection they did, but I saw how it affected them. I was there for some of the story, you know? So obviously, I'm like one of the more younger fans to this series. But that's what I saw Persona 3 Reload to be. It's one of those, hey, this might not be the original, but if you want to experience even a taste of it, what like pretty much got Persona like more games. You
Put
know,
it on
It's
the
like
map.
People kind of forget. Yeah, that literally Persona. They are even kind of aware of it themselves. Persona 3 really like launched the series in comparison to Persona 2, which literally gets memed on for being forgotten. Especially when like it's referenced in the Hermit Arcana social link. And it's just like, yeah, it's an old game. It's gonna be, it's gonna be killed off soon or whatever. I'm just like, dang, they're aware that Persona 2 is not Persona 3, But it's like, this is what I saw this game to be. It's like, there are fans who know about us, but they just don't have a way to play it. Hopefully it makes them want to, because that's what it did for me. Is like, I know that this game was harder. I know this game had a lot of other amazing things that are just not in Reload. But it's like, it's just a magical wheel, like of crazy things happening in this game, and then just anyway. So okay, hold on. Give me a sec. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up in my feelings about it because like JRPGs have been very influential like genre for me, and this was one I was referencing when I had never even played it. Like why was I so attached to this game? So being able to play this if this was my first Persona game, I would obviously be like, this is amazing. So knowing that it comes from something great and difficult, now that I'm like a pro JRPGer now, I can now actually like deal with like the fatigue mechanic, not being able to control my party members and all that stuff. Like now I feel like I can take on that challenge and like experience the history that I grew up on, which is a very cringy thing to say. I get that, but like, like this game really stuck with me. I was always referencing, Persona and shooting myself in the head with a Nerf gun. It's just the story it tells, the gameplay that, while being problematic, still wasn't entirely an issue. Like I could still play it and enjoy it. And get lost for hours and hours doing this. Like, I can have my gripes, but that just shows I was playing this enough to find things to be picky with,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I appreciate this game for what it is. I know it's not going to be everyone's number 10, but for me, this will be my first 10 out of 10 weird takoyaki balls
Let's go.
that I ever give on Video Game Book Club.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You guys made me feel some things, but I had to stand my ground. This is still a beautiful, wonderful game.
This is why I have everyone
This
lock
gets
in
my
their
10.
scores before going in.
But I acknowledge all the things you guys say,
No,
but
yeah.
I'm still giving this a 10.
All right. Awesome.
Nice.
Okay. How about
Thank
you,
you.
Natsu?
Have a good day.
Oh, whoops.
All right.
Clipping that for later.
I was
All right.
wondering why you. I was wondering why this canned the stream.
All right. So
Don't
I had a
want
wonderful
Cat-Cat?
time playing this game. Persona 3 Reload brought back a similar feeling to playing Persona 5 for the first time. There really isn't anything like this series, and I really love to immerse in these games. The characters I came across, even Junpei. Shoutouts to the voice actor, Zena Robinson, going above and beyond with Junpei's voice acting during emotional scenes. Actually, really like it's always that standout in a show or a game. And you could just like feel his anger. You could feel the struggles of him trying to find himself
His teen
throughout the
angst.
whole entire game. Yeah, and it's just cool. I could see how this game could have had like a big impact on my life, at least like growing up. Because I can't imagine playing this as a kid, seeing all these kind of serious themes, stuff I experienced, stuff I didn't experience yet. So I had a blast playing this game. It has its issues, Tartarus. I didn't really like a couple of quality of life changes. I would have liked to seen Elizabeth. That boss battle could have been done better. But overall, yeah, it's a great game. It's a game I won't forget, and I'm really glad that I got to play it finally. So I'm going to give this game 9 babies out of 10.
Beautiful.
You should have said baby 10 times. That would have been perfect.
No, I'm sorry. I had to keep to the schedule.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
All right, Genji, take
Cool.
it away.
So, Persona 3 Reload is a game that I've been very conflicted with ever since I beat it. And it's arguably, out of all the games I've participated in for Video Game Book Club, the most daunting. Daunting in the aspect that how do you necessarily go about approaching a discussion around Persona 3? Not only is it a game that holds lots of memories and positive memories for fans of Persona and JRPG, but the question is, how do you go about talking about this game? Do you talk about it as a standalone experience? Do you talk about it as a remake of the original Persona 3? Do you talk about it as a remake of the other versions of Persona 3? Do you talk about it as a game that's been released after Persona 5? A game that's sort of compared to Royal because it's a sort of along that same line. It's introduced elements of Royal. Do you talk about it compared to Royal? Like, you can approach a discussion about this game in so many different ways, and I feel like no matter how I view this game, I can't give it a justifiable sort of review of that because of those reasons, but also because my experiences as a Persona fan have been Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Strikers, and now this game. I do have Golden on my Steam Deck ready to play, but the issue is I'm very limited when it comes to this. I really enjoyed certain aspects of Persona 3 Reload. I think it's a really good game. There are also other major glaring issues I find with this game, things I've already discussed. And other things I was going to mention, but conveniently I have now just drawn a blank after the giant spiel that I have just gone on. I was like, I've got this really good point that I was going to bring up, but I feel
You're
like
cooking.
I know, right? So now I've gone, fuck, I should have written that down, but I'm like, I'll
Spilled
just
a
shoot
little
off from the
bit.
hip and hope for the best.
Okay,
Yo,
okay.
I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, I do think this is a really good game. I'm going to bring out my inner hipster, though, because no book club would be complete without hipster Genji. And I'm only going to give this game an 8.5 out of 10. I think it is a really good experience, but I don't think that it does everything it could do. And ultimately, Royal is a game I prefer so much more. But I am concerned that if we try to royalify this game more with the palaces and that, it would lose its fundamental heart and aspect of what Persona 3, from what I'm gathering, is. So,
This is not Luigi's Mansion.
no.
I think that's a valid take. I agree.
Yay!
So this game is not dark. I don't want it to be dark. It is Persona 3. It does a good job of being a JRPG, and it also has done a good job at making me forget the last major thing I wanted to talk about. Well, yeah. So anyway, moving on. I won't take up too much more of the time.
Okay.
AI, Aegis, Jake, baby, go
I
ahead.
thought it was Aegis. What?
All right, Aegis Jake, baby form 3.
Tomatoes at this point, man.
So this is what Jake wrote.
Blame the time zone.
This one actually has like 2 paragraphs, so this is a good one.
Oh, pop off.
So this is what Jake said. The game is a fascinating tale about life, death, and purpose. The question that comes up a lot in the game is, what is my purpose? The characters look within themselves for their purpose, fighting what seems like an impossible fight, learning more and more each day about who they are, not just to themselves, but to the rest of the world. While not every character is as well-rounded and thought out as another, and some of the relationships don't feel important, the end goal with your relationships is the thing that helps the world. And as for the world, the character's goal is to save it from the darkness, save it from the end. Discovering the beauty in life, knowing they aren't ready to die, the characters will stop at nothing for the world, even in the face of certain extinction. It's a very fun, yet very emotional game. And like its sibling games, it has that lovely Persona charm. A 9 out of 10. Good job, Jay. That was very well written.
Yeah,
I like it. That
ChatGPT.
is
Shoot, he really is AI.
Oh, shoot. Aegis Jake. Well done. All right, here it is. Final score breakdown. Soul gave it a 9. I gave it a 9. Force gave it a 9.5. Bajoran gave it a 10. Nakuso gave it a 9. Genji gave it an 8.5. And Jake AI Aegis gave it a 9. So calculating it all out, Persona 3 Reload gets our final average rating of 91.4% or 64 out of 70. Well done, guys. 3-month game. There it is.
Proud.
All right.
Did
It's
it.
your fault.
Yep. And anyways, enough of that. It's time to move on. Bajerwin, do you know what time it is?
Is it the best time of all?
Maybe.
Bonus mystery question time?
Bonus mystery question time. Here it is. Think.
Wait, I thought it was a dark hour.
Well,
I thought
all-
harder is.
Dark
also Wheel of
hour
Sexuality.
question time of sexuality. Think of all the different social links that you have formed in Persona 3 Reload. Which one was your favorite and why? Take it away, Soul.
Out of all the social links I maxed out that I've tried to get so far, there are actually four of them: Akinari's, Hayase's, Odagiris, and Keisuke's. But if I were to pick one of them,
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I may have to say
Yes.
This is it.
it's Aikis.
Oh.
What?
No, just kidding. No,
Oh.
no,
Wait, what? Hold
No,
on.
it's
I got double slapped.
no. It's actually Akinari.
Okay.
Because apparently he's like one. I didn't even realize that I was talking to a ghost at that point when I maxed out his social link.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I kind of realized that there are so many people that have genetic illnesses that
Genetic.
or genetic illnesses that probably don't make people last longer than at a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's kind of sad. Just like we don't have that. There's these people that hope they can get past it, but at the same time, it's like they know they can't, but at least they can make something out of it in a way. And he's just one of those people that didn't get to live as an adult to do what he wants. Just was born with it, sadly. And it kind of makes me wonder about things a little bit.
I think it made us all wonder. Put things into perspective.
Because
Possibly more than once.
yeah,
Mhm.
this is somewhat in real life of what these certain people that has these kind of genetic illnesses deal with every day, especially like people that can't get what's that word, like with the white blood cells or something
Treatment,
like that.
cure. Oh, just
Yeah.
kidding. I don't know.
Like
Bone
leukemia or
marrow transplant.
like leukemia and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Oh.
Or just like one of those or like illnesses that can't be completely cured
Yeah.
and everything and all. We still try to find a way to cure it, but it's like we can't cure everything at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yet. Who knows?
Yeah.
I want to remain hopeful.
Yeah, it's just that's like one of those things that it makes me wonder. We have to appreciate what we have in the best way we can.
Exactly. I appreciate you all being here.
I appreciate all of you being here too.
Yep. And playing this game.
Yeah. Anyways, next.
All right. I'm going to pick. I think everyone probably knows. They saw me stream.
I think so too.
Maya. The Hermit.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Where's me? Is me here to listen to this?
I wish. I don't know. He
Oh
probably
my
he probably
God.
left. But me, if you're here, shout out to Maya. LMAO name. So Maya the Hermit, man, it was a struggle. I had to use so much brain power to try to read what she was even typing, but it was funny, it was cringe, and it was how people used to talk back in the day because the whole elite speak, and they just thought it was cool. And just seeing it, because I had completely forgotten about that, and just seeing it like written out in person, I was like, God dang, I must have been hella cringe if I go back to the things I wrote back then, which I did find some things I wrote back then, and it was kind of similar to this. So I guess I was cringe just like Maya. But the icing on the cake, because I was actually going to pick Mitsuru, but the icing on the cake for all of this was the payoff in the end when the teacher finally discovers that you're Tatsuya.
Uh-huh.
And it was just her reaction and everything. Because that was my thing. I was like, we hit social link 10 and then she's just going to say, I love you and then bye. I was like, oh, that's kind of lame. So just to see it all come full circle and just seeing her reaction and how she was like breaking down, and she even had the nerve at the end to ask if you wanted to go to dinner. I was like,
Bro,
man,
she's having a crisis.
yeah,
She's confused.
She's hella confused. All I'm gonna say is you need to wait like at least 2 more years, and then we'll come talk. But no, Maya was great, and what's funny too is there was no like actual like audio dialogue compared to the other social links. But even then, it was just still funny just reading the entire plot. So that was great.
God,
Maya,
That was-
Rafflecopter, LMAO nade for reals. You're number 1. What about you, Force? It's Kenji, isn't it?
I'm gonna go swinging for Bebe because apparently no one else finished his but
All
me.
right.
It
Bebe
was
time.
first a mistake
I did.
because I thought
I
it
did.
was an Elizabeth mission was to do that because like the dress, I thought there was something to do with him, but that's besides the point. I thought he was the sweetest. He's just to be like the nicest guy. He's such sweet, finds purpose in life that brings him joy, and having him to leave Japan, go back, it was such heartbreaking because he had finally found something that he was truly passionate and loved. And the letter at the end, oh my god, the fact that he couldn't come, that he decided not to come back, he had to stay with his family, and then him realizing like when his aunt, I don't know, that's why I feel like we're in spoilers.
Go for it.
His aunt passed away, and then his uncle, like him not understanding, and then realizing his uncle did care about what he did. It was so sad. It was like probably the third thing I cried the most for is because he is just a pure and kind soul, and he finally found someone. He didn't have anybody in Japan because he was a foreigner, a fish out of water. Someone didn't know it, and then he found someone he was able to open up to, and it's just sweet.
Mhm.
And something I wish that this game did, I don't think it's probably address it, I guess, is how the death of the main character affects the social links. How, like the other people that they had a vast impact on their lives. I think that's a huge miss. You could have probably addressed that more. I don't know if they do that in Igus, but I feel like that's something you could deeply, especially the old couple. I don't know if someone's gonna talk about the old couple. Them losing their son and then finding it in a new kid, and then him dying as well. I feel like that could have been something that's explored. And the thing like Bebe finding that out or any like that would just be horrible. Someone that was there for him the entire time, and him losing that, it would have probably made me cry all over again seeing their reaction to that death. But yeah, Bebe is just the sweetest kid. He's
Maybe
a bit of
number
a
one.
weeb, but that's besides the point.
I can see that.
There's nothing wrong with being a
100%.
weeb.
Backhanded compliment.
He is that. But he means well. He always means well. And yeah, I don't know. Nice kid.
Nice kid. Kind of a wee, but he aight.
Oh, come on. I talked a lot more than just him being a flippin' weeb. You're not going to
All right,
bring my
just-
point to just that.
Nah,
You're right, though. He's a
good,
weeb.
good baby. Good BB. We love you, BB.
I almost chose Bebe as my favorite one because of all the stuff you said. Of course, yep, got that, and the whole village raising a child part of it.
Yeah.
That whole stuff. But I actually chose another one that really made me, I don't know, just feel a lot of nice things. Like this one, like it was sad. A lot of them have sad things, but like this one still felt like there was that, you know, a positive air around it still, and it was like the Hierophant, the old couple.
Yeah.
Because when you're new to this place and they're one of the first you know, social links that you build, you create, you make, you really do feel like these two grandparent age people really just adopted me as like, you know, this random kid who's just going here for school. But it just felt so natural in a way. Like this feels like something that would happen to me for some reason. I would go to bookstores, and if I was somehow also an orphan and going to high school, randomly somewhere else and didn't know anybody, I feel like, yeah, I'd probably hang out with these old people too. They gave me snacks and drinks, you know? I would just chat with them, and it just felt real. Like, I really was like, this is, like, protagonist is doing something for them, you know? They talk about being lonely, talk about their son, you know, getting confused and accidentally calling protagonist their son. And it's just, I don't know, maybe I miss my grandparents a lot, and that's why I'm thinking about this one especially, but just actually feeling the immersion of, I am new kid. I have been adopted by this old couple.
Congratulations, you're now an adopted grandson.
Yeah, you know, but then it was like just sweet stuff. Like, this felt very like neighborly in a way too, because like, I mean, it's not that far from his dorm.
Yep.
And it felt real in all the best ways. No matter how sad the story itself was, it's like, no, like, they came to the terms of their son's death a long time ago, and I guess it like was the beginning of that whole theme of like, you know, death will come to us all. It will come for all of us. We will all figure out how to deal with it at some point, one way or another. And it was like early on already.
I mean, the letter at the very beginning tells you have a year to do this.
Yeah, no, I know that, but I mean, like, the whole idea of like, I'm having this experience with a social link already, because not all of them necessarily involve death, you know? But it's like, this is an old couple, how are they still dealing with it? And it was just like, I don't know this guy, but I feel like I'm knowing their son because of how they talked about him, the impact he's left on the school and that tree. And randomly, that one girl who really likes drinks is always standing next to it and talking about it. I don't know what's her deal, but she's always there. And also, when the missing persons in Tartarus starts to become a thing, he was the first social link that I had wander in there, and I took that so personally. I'm like, I will save this man. He's gotten me so many snacks, so many drinks. He's just a goofy little guy. He's just a goofy man who sometimes pretends he has dementia, but also I think he actually does, so we can't tell when he's serious about it. And it's just, it's like, it's sad, but at the same time, like, they're making the most of, like, their old age, and, like, you know what, we're gonna spruce up the store and make it newer and more inviting. I'm like, they're gonna adopt more grandkids this way, you know? Like, I'm just thinking about this couple so much. It's just so cute. And why do they have so many snacks? Who are they feeding?
Hooking you up. Just you.
Bro, they like, I bet that's why there's cats there too. They're just feeding the cats. Like, that seems like something they would do. This just felt so good, like, as the new kid in the area. Just the old people, of course, taking them under their wing. Ugh. Perfect. Freaking beautiful. Bunkichi also is just a really fire name.
Probably Yakuza back in the day.
Oh, you right. Hey, he looks like a guy who's killed a few people. Sorry, next. I didn't say that.
All right. So, just like so, Akanari caught me off guard, and I really respected developers for putting together a story that just would leave such an impact. For some reason, I thought like, okay, so we're going to fix everyone's problems, just like in, you know, Persona 5 and up to this game. So I thought, okay, by the end, you'll probably have some good news. You know, you'll save them in some way. And you did not. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? This is a trick. But no, like after his final, you know, words with you and he just disappears, that was definitely like heartbreaking. And to be honest, it brought me to tears. Yeah. This is like the only I guess arcana in this game that actually made me cry. And yeah, it's just so real. And you know, I feel like a lot of people definitely had someone that kind of went through this or lost someone. I know I did in some way, so this really hit home with me. And after just hearing his mother come to terms, you know, saying she's going to move on and do everything in the world, you know, to kind of celebrate her son and stuff, it's really touching. And I'm glad that she thanked us for helping him. He finally got to finish the book with the hippo and the bird. So that was great. And apparently that book is like in another, like referenced in other ways.
But you want to say it's real.
No,
Oh,
Sword
I
goes
would
another way.
pay
You
for that.
should actually
A
know it,
real
Tubby, but-
storybook.
Let me.
Mhm.
I'll search it up. I'll see what that is.
No, don't do that.
Don't do it.
Okay.
No. No, it's all good. And yeah, this got me to think a lot about life, and the quote that she says, "If you wait until their day comes, it's too late. Clinging to their dead bodies won't bring them back. If you
Dang.
love someone,
Yep.
let them know it." That was like really powerful how she said that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say, well done. I actually applauded that specific
A random NPC.
Yep.
Because at first I thought, okay, this is going to be all right. But like, just the more you get into it, and the more you relate, and the more you hear his story, then you bring him back from being super depressed about life to feeling hopeful
Mhm.
again, and just accepting it, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Genji?
Everyone here has done really sentimental answers in that, and
Not me.
because ignoring
Yeah, Maya,
yeah.
sentimental.
besides Tubby, and we don't know what AI, Aegis, Argus, Jake Karuno, whoever is going to say. Let's end this
Mhm.
off with a bit of a positive. Clearly, the superior and best social link is Mitsuru, because, quite frankly, Mitsuru is the best. Makoto is my favorite social link from Persona 5, and I could not cheat on her. I think we have
Good
a
man.
clear thing going on. We know exactly what the best Persona character user is like. People who are older, people who have power, and people who have a really good character design in Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight, I think.
Yep.
That's
Oh
the
my
Persona
gosh.
3 Dancing.
Yep.
So, really good character design, really good outfit of choice in that. So, she is by far the best social link because of her character.
Mm-hmm.
And they both
Yeah.
and they both ride motorcycles.
Yep.
Yeah, they do.
And they
do.
both have
I was
hard
gonna
boots.
say, there is some, and they both wear leather pants.
Yep. I'm starting to know what Genji Genji likes.
So she has she has really good personality.
Mm-hmm.
Really good personality, and she is a position of power and older. So good job. I can't wait to see which motorcycle riding vehicle transformer character we have for Persona 6, but I guarantee you she will also be the best social link also. Yeah, I think that sums up my point to a T. Yeah,
All right.
anyway, take away Aegis, Jake.
No, the next time when Persona 6 has more details, I'm just gonna look at the character that gives off the most step on me energy, and I'll be like, "That's Genji's going for that."
I can see that.
I'd
that
bet on
persona-
it.
Look, that person can step on me all day, and I do not care about me needing to give them my consent. Just
All right. Okay.
All right, here we go. Then.
Consent was given on this day of October.
October 5th, 2024. If you give off the energy, you can step on Genji.
Oh.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Here's what Jake wrote. So it's funny because Jake wrote Aegis. Learning what it is to love and be human. That was the first one he wrote. He listed some other characters as well. They're really quick. He said Fuka, learning that she is useful to her friends and that she is loved. Perfect. Pharos. He actually said Pharos. He wrote,
Really?
Hey,
this is in his words, I gave this little stalker a lot of shit, but their importance to the overall game and the main character
Oh my
cannot be
God.
understated. Called him a stalker, and he said he's still important though, and he likes him.
Ryuji.
No, he specifically said Sparrows. The
when
kid
he
boy.
was little boy,
When he was a-
which
when
it
he
makes it
little
even
boy.
creepier. It
Exactly.
was even
He's the same
creepier that was a little
guy.
boy breaking into your room.
Can I say something? I wish there was a gay option in these sorts of games, but I don't.
Believe
think
me, that is a whole
Persona-
thing.
I know.
Are you assuming that the main protagonist's gender?
Oh my god! Come on, you know what I mean.
Anyways,
Oh, no.
that's a different video. I probably won't even be a video. Let's focus on games here. That concludes this episode of Video Game Book Club. Thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join the Video Game Book Club Discord and play and discuss video games alongside us and the community, the link will be in the description box below. With that said, take care, have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next episode of Video Game Book Club. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, baby,
Ciao.
baby, baby, baby.